Right, here we go. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited because everybody knows that this is a public thing. One of my favorite conversations from last year in the podcast was definitely with Diego Perez. He's Brazilian, but he has a Perez name. Only God knows why. I'm sure we talked about it in the podcast in the other episode. But I guess it's the exchange in the southern part of the continent, I suppose, right? So I'm super excited about having Diego here, and I really wanted him to come back. So we talked about a little bit, and we decided that maybe it would be interesting to just invite a couple of other people who are also in this interested in game localization, so that we can see what's happening now, what kind of path people are following in order to actually follow their dreams. Because I don't think that anyone can localize video games if it's not kind of their passion or their dream or something like that. I believe it's a little bit like that. So in order to remind us who Diego is, if he needs any introductions, but here we go. So Diego, just a few words about yourself, and then we will go with everybody, and then we'll start our conversation. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Hi, Diego.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Rita. Thanks for having me and all these guests we have here today with us. I'm really glad to be back here chatting with you. It's always so much fun, exchanging ideas about the language industry and all. The first question of the podcast, well, Perez is due to my Spanish heritage. I have a Spanish and Portuguese heritage, Portuguese from my mother's side and Spanish from my grandfather's side or something like that. I'm sure there's a more stylish way to say that, but it's just how it occurred to me. Well, I've been localizing games for almost 10 years now. I think it's been 9, and you're absolutely right. It's really a thing of passion because we have a lot of struggles within that industry. It's not the most lucrative of specialisms. So a lot of us are here because we really enjoy doing what we do. I mean, we could be earning more doing something else maybe, but a lot of us are here because this is really our passion. We've dreamed of that since we were kids and all that. And then at least for me, I never thought I could work with that. I mean, when I was still in university, I didn't plan to become a video game localization specialist. I wasn't even aware that this term existed. I was, game translation, and I didn't think they were recruiting freelancers or anything like that. But then as I started translating other things, I came across this field of expertise, and then I thought, okay, this is what I really want to do. And ever since I started doing that, I couldn't stop. I've worked with many video game titles, some more famous than others. But yeah, I've been now I'm working on the localization of Genshi 2, which is from an indie game studio. It's a small team of maybe 30 developers or something like that. So it's really been a dream working with them because we work really close to the developers. We talk to them every day. We have a lot of information and context. We can test the game and all that. So this has been an amazing experience for me and quite different from the reality of our business, where we usually work with agencies and we don't have much access to information or to the developers or anything like that. So yeah, and also I've been doing some writing about the language industry, publishing some articles here and there, and also providing mentorships for people who are trying to get into the industry or who are maybe at the middle part of their careers and need some advice on where to go next. So yeah, I think this is it.
This is Diego in a nutshell. No more questions, they're all set.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Diego. So now it's time for me to get to know the new girls on the block, right? So Diego is the one who decided to invite these particular girls, right? So I'm very excited about understanding why, of all the possible thousands of people in the world. So I'm sure there's a very good reason. So we will start with Phyllis. So I don't know anything about them because, believe it or not, we had some technical issues. I mean, I did, not them. It was me. So with the switching computers and zooming here and zooming there, I ended up not being able to hear them. They couldn't hear me. So it was a big mess. And then in the end, we figured it out, but it took us half an hour. So It took me half an hour, basically. So this is the first time we're actually talking because the whole time I was trying to get sound. So Phyllis, very nice to
Right.
meet you.
Hi, yeah, it's good to speak to you as well for the first time, actually.
Yes.
Right.
So tell me just a little bit about you, how these, let's not even go with games yet, but how languages came into your life. So because you're still super young, the three of you, so I'm just, everything is very fresh. So let's
Right.
start with that, how languages came into your life.
Languages. Well, I'll have to say that languages have always been a part of my life. Well, especially since I grew up in Singapore, where it is really just a melting pot of different cultures, different languages. My country has 4 official languages. So yeah, any kind of a government
What a
communication
dream.
is done in 4 languages. Yes. So,
Okay.
and oh, hold on, sorry.
So this is everything that you have when you're recording straightforwardly from just pretending your life. Right. So Phyllis had some sort of technical problem. She's back.
Sorry. Hi. No, my daughter just came back from school, so sorry, I had to
It's
pause and
okay if she
say
comes in. Don't worry,
hi.
don't worry. It's fine. Cats and children and dogs, it's fine.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Okay. So, where was I? Sorry. Um,
The melting pot
right.
of living in a country
Yes,
with
melting
4
pot.
official languages.
So there are 4 official languages. All communication is printed, announced. Official announcements are always in 4 languages. And when my parents were growing up, they were living quite close with other cultures, other languages as well. So each of them speak about 7 languages each, if you count like the dialects and everything. Because within the Chinese language itself, it's over 40 dialects. So of the 40, they only have about 5. So that's really just a fraction. And what do I have? I only have the one that's left. So it's been really, really diluted to this point where it's like, oh, I can only count myself as a speaker of 2 languages and an idiot in many other languages. That's what I feel. Because it's never going to be good enough.
Yes, I know.
Well,
That's
as I said,
how I feel.
right? I mean, I married a Polish man, so I have the basics of Polish, right? I live in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, so
Okay.
again, my German is immer alles nicht gut. It's always crap. So I'm like, I feel like crap in all these languages.
It's a good
And
place to
but
be the way I
only
see it.
only
Because
two
that's the thing
languages
about
are fine.
languages. They are very nice to us because we know we'll never know them, right? Any language,
Yes.
even your mother tongue, right? That is the great advantage. I always say, just go for it
Oh,
because it's going to be forever and it's never done. So it's perfect.
it is. It's like a forever journey. So
Yeah.
if you want to be entertained, always pick up new language, and you'll be
Yes.
confused, frustrated, happy, but just so like full of it's just
Wow.
so many things, so much to do every day to learn
I
language.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So Anabel Morales. So another Spanish flavored name, but this time in a Spanish speaking country. Let's hear it from
Absolutely.
Anabel.
Yeah, I'm from Argentina. We are a Spanish-speaking country.
Yes.
I'm of Italian descent.
Mhm.
And basically my journey with languages started when I was like 9. My parents sent me to this institution where it was like after school.
Mm.
I went to school from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and after 4 p.m. I would go to this institution where they would teach me English. It was like 2 hours 3 days a week.
Mm.
And that's basically what set me up to become a translator because if it weren't for that institution, I would not know anything really. Because here in high school and elementary school, level English doesn't quite get you anywhere. So I studied there. I got a very good level. Then I complemented it with like YouTube memes, anything you can find on the internet, movies,
Mm.
shows. And then it was in 2016 that I got into my university where I studied translation, and it was in 2022 that I got my degree. Yay!
Yay, congratulations. That is still fresh. Well, compared to me,
Yeah.
I won't say, I will say that I actually finished in the year 2000. That was long ago.
I've studied Korean, Italian. I've very much enjoyed learning new languages, especially the grammar. Grammar is like
I
I've
know.
always said, it's like having math in languages, and
Yeah.
I love math. So it's like a system, and I just love analyzing sentences, comparing what a language does that another one maybe doesn't, or it does it
Mhm.
differently, and why and how. It to me is just so interesting. It's just so much food for thought.
That's exactly how
And
I feel.
yeah, and sometimes I was a pain to my teachers because they don't know the technicalities sometimes. And I'm just like, yeah, but what does this particle do and why do they have it here? And they were like, just write the word and be done with it.
I know
So
exactly
yeah.
how you feel or how it was, because school for me was a little bit like that because I'm also a grammar freak. So speaking of grammar, is it true that Sarah, I read it Sarah Deville, but then I thought, no, this is more Sarah Deville, no?
It's pronounced Deville. But yeah, I've had people call me, oh, devil. It's so mysterious.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, it's just Deville. Like it's from the city, it's just
From the
simple.
city. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
that means
Ville,
that, yeah.
of course. So how about you? So with that name, how did you end up with working with languages?
I would say it's a bit like Anna. I started learning English in primary school, and I immediately fell in love with it. And also, my mother was a teacher, so I guess it helped a bit. She taught a bit of English, and I guess I just immediately loved it and started to read in English, watch movies in English, tons and tons of movies and shows, and eventually in high school, I was like, well, maybe I'll become a translator. I also like games, so why not? And from there, I did everything I could to just become a game localizer, and guess I made
And here
it.
you were.
Yeah.
So Diego, Sarah, or whatever, Sarah, no?
Sarah.
Whatever you want, right? So she makes it sound like it's all pretty breezy. So from that point of view, where did you meet the three girls specifically? Are they your mentees? Are they your followers? Are you friends in real life? Have you worked in projects together? So how did you come across the three ladies?
Well, I met Sarah. Oh, okay, yeah, I was mispronouncing her name.
No,
I'm
just
so
say
sorry.
it however you want it. I was joking, just say it however you want.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll do that because I can't pronounce the R, the French R. This is so
Yeah, you can
difficult
say
for me. It's
Sarah.
like
It's okay.
Sarah.
She's used to
Okay,
it.
Sarah.
We're all used to mispronunciations of our names, and it's a good thing.
Okay, so yeah, I met Sarah and Phyllis on LinkedIn. They are like old connections of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, old in LinkedIn terms for like 2-3 years, maybe something like that. Yeah, and we've been keeping in touch ever since, either through messages or through interactions in on LinkedIn, either commenting each other posts or liking each other posts and something like that. And I've been observing their journeys, and I'm actually working with Sarah in one of the agencies we work with. We are co-workers in different language pairs, of course. And Felice, well, Felice has a unique language pair and a unique perspective, so I thought she could be a great addition to our podcast. And as for Annabelle, Annabelle is Sarah's suggestion.
Okay.
So I was really interested in knowing from Sarah if she wanted to invite anyone else that she thought could bring something to the table. And then she suggested Annabelle, and I think that's a great suggestion.
Oh, so she was invited in the third degree, right?
Third, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what
And
you
I'm
should have done.
proud.
Yeah.
That
I
makes it even
actually
more special.
recommended Anna because we work super often together, and I love her. She knows I love her, and yeah.
Wow, that is exactly what the idea is. It's just that I usually say, if you want to invite someone, and then if someone says, well, what about this? What about that? What about that? I'm like, yeah, well, feel free. It doesn't really matter if it's 2 people or 3 people, because I mean, there's room for everyone, because we don't know when we're going to stop anyway. So as long as everybody has the time, it's fine. But Phyllis, with this melting pot around you, how did the game localization specifically thing came into your life? Because you were just a translator. I mean, you did your studies in translation, or what's the story? And you
all right. I actually did my studies in translation after I moved to full-time translation. So
that
yeah,
was a good
and
move.
my degree had nothing. My bachelor's degree had nothing to do with the actual work that I did. So my bachelor's degree is in marketing and management. But you know, having studied it, I'm like, I do not like the direction it's going. So after I finished studying that, I was like, all right, I'd rather go do something with languages, because after that I discovered I like languages way more than I like business people and suits and so I did a quick course and I am a certified TOEFL teacher, and with my TOEFL certification I went to Poland to teach English. So while in Europe, you know,
This is how the thing happened. Everything happened.
So
the Polish affair.
People are kind of like, oh, you Asian, teach me Asian language. I'm like, okay. So, and then that got me started on a Chinese teaching certification. So I have teaching certifications now in both English and Chinese. And I was teaching for a few years. Then my husband got a job in Switzerland. And while in Switzerland, I thought maybe I could teach English and Chinese again. But they're like, no, you got to explain things in German. And I'm like, oh, I'm dead. Okay. So I can't really explain things in German when my German is worse than I can't. No, yeah. So it was
For now,
one of the
of course.
maybe, you know, I just feel I will never ever understand.
No.
Yeah,
I don't
because
believe you.
actually over here they don't speak Hochdeutsch, they speak Schweizerdeutsch.
Right.
And within Schweizerdeutsch, it's like according to the canton you're in, there's Zuridusch, and if you live in Basel, there's Baseldusch. So it's like the dialect within a dialect. You know?
But this is what you're used to. Lots of languages and dialects all over.
And I'm like, ah.
So then games came as a part of this new endeavor of becoming a translator, but that wasn't the first ever job you got, right? The first one was not in games.
No, I've always been doing translations on and off, you know, sometimes with friends. Mostly actually I was doing comic translation. So I started with comics, and from comics there was a bit of pivot, of course, from then to the game translation. I also did novels for a while. They had a lot of web novels, and then around the time that I was thinking that, you know, I've had enough of this, because the thing is that with comics and novels you can have lots of volume, but it doesn't pay very well. And you know that actually within the languages industry, game localization itself doesn't even pay that well compared to sciences or anything. So it's a step up, but not very far.
You mean financially, right?
Financially,
however,
yes,
you prefer
but
that, I'm sure.
that is, I think it's much more interesting in the sense that in game localization you actually end up working with a lot more people, have a lot more interactions, whereas like in novels and comics they're kind of, here's the file, give me the file, goodbye, here's the next file, give me the file, goodbye. You know, there's no real feedback, there's no kind of interaction, there's no like, what can you mean in this part here, how does it connect to the next part of story, nothing like that. They're just like, give me the file, right, and goodbye, here's the next one. So if you use kind of like factory processing, whereas game translation itself, it is way more interactive when you work on it.
So you work into Chinese, right? Or games?
No. From Chinese into English.
Oh. Wow, the best of both worlds. Is it because there's no, well, I cannot say there's no market because I mean, come on, what's there not to have a market in Chinese? But is it your preference? Is what you really think you should be doing? Is it because you
Well,
don't agree with whomever contacts you, if anybody, to do it the other way around? So is it
all
because you
right.
prefer?
So I would say my native language is English, right? And for me, Chinese, well, based on the technical definitions, I am a native speaker of Chinese as well. But, you know, the compulsory education in Chinese for me in Singapore ends at the time that I was 16 years old. So
I
my
see.
vocabulary, my technical ability is maybe of a 16-year-old.
You didn't
And if you,
evolve, didn't
yeah,
mature.
and it doesn't go beyond that. So it's not beyond university level. So of course I speak and sound totally great, and then you throw in technical terms like I have never heard of that word before and haven't used that
Oh, I see.
beyond their 16-year-old point. You know,
Mm.
you just haven't accumulated that,
Okay.
and you know, and former styles of writing. You know, because that is what the main thing is in translation. You have to be a very good writer in your target language, and I haven't gained that ability. I have gained your elementary school level of writing or high schooler way of writing, but not beyond
So I
university
can see
level,
that
not
you're
beyond
never
professional
satisfied.
level.
I can
So
see that.
I'm not in Chinese, never, and I will never ever offer that because it is not up to a standard that I would like. I translate, right now I'm working on a book, actually. I'm going to translate a book that will be set to be published within a year after I submit the manuscript. So, yeah, based on what I've seen on what the published Chinese authors are writing, I'll be very, very hard pressed to catch up to their level of expression, right? The way that they wield the language. So no, never into Chinese. English,
Okay,
yes.
so that's
I
it.
can
English
I
forever.
can write in English, that's great. Into Chinese, never. Do not ever ask me that.
Okay, I will not talk about this translating into Chinese again. So Annabelle, do you translate from English into Spanish, more languages, less languages? And
I only do English to Spanish and
Mm.
Spanish to English because
Mm.
I am very confident in my level of English where I can sound natural because I interact with native speakers on a daily basis all the time, playing video games, watching shows, anything. I have a lot of American friends, not so much British. I haven't had that many chances to do Spanish to English though. I wish I could, but the workflow is more in this workflow is more common to just have uh English to Spanish.
Yeah, makes sense. So how did you find your first ever? So you came out of college, you just said, and then you immediately knew you wanted to do this thing. So what did you do the moment you finished your degree in order to get to
It's
this working in video games thing?
it's funny because when I started studying in my first year of college, I want to do dubbing. I just want to do dubbing. I love dubbing. Um, but then it's at least for Latin American Spanish, what happens is it's not a very well paid job, and it's a lot of effort for not that much of pay. So I started doing localization even before I got my degree. It was my first ever job, let's say, because it was a collaboration I did for free. Um, it was this Metroidvania game, super cute, pixely. Um, I was contacted through LinkedIn by a very dear colleague of mine who just said, "Hey, I noticed because of your profile that you like to do or you would like to do video game localization." And I was just like, "Yes." And so he invited me to
Bring it
this
on.
server, and he introduced me to this project where I would be translating. Then I would have another very newbie colleague of mine reviewing my work, and then this person that invited me who was already had already
Established.
been, yes, for a long time, he would be reviewing, like giving it a final view. And then I would do LQA as well. And that was the process. I enjoyed it a lot. You cannot imagine how much I learned from just that one project. It was amazing, and I even appeared in the credits of the game, something that nowadays
Wow, fancy.
someone would be like, wow.
That's true.
And so that was the starting point, and just little by little I started
But did you
getting
contact
one project.
agencies? Did you connect it to other people?
I did connect to other people. I have a very nice I don't like to say network because network makes it sound so businessy, and I don't like it. I say friends.
Okay, virtual friends.
Yes, just like Sarah, or Sarah. um I built this net of connections, and I didn't start contacting agencies until I got my degree because I wanted to focus on finishing my studies before I went out in the working field and all that. Because I knew that if it came to work or studying, you then you have to either choose one or the other and then leave one behind and prioritize one over the other. And I knew I did not want to do that because what ends up happening is that you prioritize work over studying because you want money. So I was just like, I'll do like little jobs here and there, but I will not start sending my CV to agencies until I'm done. And that's exactly what I did. As soon as I got my degree, I started like,
and were things
here,
pretty
have
quick
it.
by the time you were done with the degree, or
Not quick. But it wasn't slow either, but it was like a little by little by little by little. And now I have a pretty good rhythm going, which I even think could be better. But people should know that it's not going to be from one day to the other that you're just going to have a workflow of things in, things out. No, it takes a little bit of time. I think I got my degree in like July of 2022, and it's the beginning of 2024, and it's just now that I've started getting a consistent workflow of having things coming in, having things coming out, and
like you're basically busy most of the time?
yes. That just started happening at the beginning of this year.
So
It's
this
not
is
like
going
I
to be
was
a good year.
unemployed or anything. I had work, but it wasn't as much as one would expect. But I didn't get disappointed anyways, because I knew things work like that. You're not gonna get famous from one day to the other, and everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, do this for me, do that for me. It takes time and it takes work, because sending emails and reminders and all that stuff, it's an effort people sometimes don't seem to appreciate. And it's a lot sometimes because you can get discouraged too. And even when that happens, you need to keep going. And sometimes it's hard to find that motivation.
Speaking about motivation, Sarah, what's the story? What happened? How did the video game thing come into your life? How did the video game thing come into your life? See this, I get to get my English straight.
So I did a master's degree in translation, and at the end of that master's, I had to do an internship. So I chose actually a Polish agency. That's funny.
Why is it funny? There's lots of them.
No, it's because Phyllis has some links to Poland, so that's pretty fun. So I did my internship there. It was a localization agency, so only games. I spent 6 months there, and straight after that, I went freelancing, and this agency was my first client. So
okay, so you left, but you kept the relationship, which is ideal.
Yeah, because when you start, you have like nothing. You're like, what do I do? Who do I contact? I don't know.
So why did you decide to go freelance immediately after your traineeship? Why didn't you look, or did you look for other jobs that were like in-house or?
Actually, this agency offered me a position in-house, but it didn't match my vibe, and I really wanted to go home because it was in the middle of COVID. Actually, it was in 2020, so that was yeah. I was like, I'm sorry, thank you for the offer, but I really want to go home now. So I'll just start freelancing, and I knew that they would send me tons of work, and they did actually. And then I started working with them as a freelancer and finding other clients after that. And I got pretty lucky with my other clients actually, because right when I got in touch with them, they said, "Oh, that's great. We were looking for a French translator. Come join us." And I was, yeah, let's go. And then, you know, like Annabelle said, like little by little, I got we in with nice clients, and now I even work with direct clients. So a few developers, one publisher also, and yeah, it's been going pretty well actually.
Hmm.
That's good.
Well, that's great to know that you have really
Yeah.
good feedback. I'm going to talk to Diego, but is he there?
Yeah, I think it's
He's
freezing.
frozen.
Yeah.
Diego, frozen, probably coming back soon. Anyway, so let's go to Phyllis and ask, what kind of clients do you have at the moment? So you're doing things that have to do with books, but are you translating games right now? What's
Oh,
the game
yes.
landscape at the moment for you? Diego will come
Right
back soon,
now,
I'm sure.
okay. I left Tencent Games last year. I was in-house with Tencent Games. And then a few months after I left Tencent Games, I joined Mattel 163. They own the Uno franchise. So I help with Uno, I help with Phase 10 and one unannounced game. Right now, I'm working part-time for Mattel, and I also have my freelance clients,
Mhm.
which I cannot name.
Of
And
course.
yes, and one of the clients actually, they're an indie publisher, so they're saying that, oh, you can finally, we'll put your name in the credits for this game. It's called Feed the Cups. So I can finally put my name on something. Yay! After working for years for these companies who are like, you know, you sign your name on our contract, but your name will never appear on our games, right? Because it's in-house. So yes, and when this game, I think the latest updates from the indie publisher, they told me that they sold 100,000 copies in early access. So I think it's doing quite well. And
Mhm.
my translations are, at least I have confirmation that 100,000 people read my translations. Yay! So
That's impressive.
plus the millions of others, right? Well, actually, I think I can list a few of the games that I worked on when I was working with Tencent Games. I worked on their biggest franchise, which is Honor of Kings. That's a mobile game. And I also helped with the editing and all that for the other titles. There was Don't Starve New Home. I helped out with that as well. And occasionally I help out with Tower of Fantasy as well. Yeah, so some of these titles. Of course, freelance, I also work on the other big titles in the industry, but they would never put your name on it and never let
Mhm.
anyone know.
Yes, I
So
understand all about
can't
big
say that.
named things don't
Yeah,
acknowledge in your situation. So
never ever. So I think one of the good things about working with indies is that they have the power to put your name in the credits if they have a credit page. If they don't, then there's no point. And yeah, with companies, it's mostly you're just part of the company. You're caught in the wheel, and you never get credit. Not usually.
so you'd rather
Yeah.
be free, obviously.
Well,
So
it's a half
Diego,
and
sorry,
half. Sorry.
half and half? You said half
I'll
and half.
just, it's a half and half, because the thing about game localization is also that what you translate gets edited and then
Mm.
edited again, and it goes LKA and then edited. So there's like 2 or 3 levels of editing, and the end result might be what you came up with. So in that sense, I'm also not sure, like, my name, yes, my name, no, because you don't know if those levels of
It
editing
depends on the
your
workflow.
yeah, whether it's better or became worse, you know. And if it became all the way down, it became worse, and your name is there, you're like, oh no, don't put me there.
Well, I
Yeah,
guess it's a risk you have to
I
run.
don't know. If it's great, yes, me. If it's not great, oh no.
It wasn't
Yeah,
really me.
yeah, it wasn't really me. It's 3 levels of editing that did that, not me.
Yeah, that's
But
what
he's great
happens.
at me.
In ideal situations, things get proofread and edited and all of that. So Diego, when we talked last year, almost a year ago, so you were in one of those moments where a lot was happening, right? So you had done
Yeah.
the Translator course, and then I started seeing your name as the special guest, invited speaker everywhere. Right. So I
Yeah.
guess a lot has happened, right? So do you
Yes.
think it had more consequences on your video game localization activity or on your superstar social media on the rise kind of
So,
activities? So what do you think really happened there this past year?
okay. Oh, that's really kind, Rita. Thank you.
Well, it's just
To
a
be honest,
fact.
to be honest about this whole podcast thing, I think you played a big role in that because you were actually the second
Not
the
the
second
first,
time.
figured out, the second.
Oh, yeah, but the first one, I mean, I was not really comfortable, but after doing the podcast with you, I was super comfortable, and
You're
I
ready
thought,
for
okay,
life.
that's
You're
it.
ready to go into the
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, and I was much less nervous for other podcasts, and for this episode, especially, I was not nervous at all. I was super.
You
I was
already know
even.
how I am, right?
I
Who
was even
gets
able
nervous
to
with me?
work before before the recording because usually I get so nervous that I can't work. Man, I have to.
That's why we had the
to
technical problems to give you an extra 20 minutes.
yeah. Yeah, and so well about this past year, I mean I think the course at Translators was recently released when we chat,
Yep.
and it's been almost 1 year now,
Mhm.
and I think it did well. And I had big positive feedback, quite a few reviews, so I was really happy with the result. When I was preparing it, I wasn't sure where I was going with that, but then I think it turned out just fine, and then it has been helpful for everybody. And I'm still working on my next course. Actually, I haven't started working on my next course, but I have some ideas going on, and I want to, that's definitely a step I want to take. But I don't want, like releasing to release a lot of courses. I want to really work on something that is an improvement over my past one. If it's just a marginal improvement, then I will wait a bit more until I have more to say. And yeah, about the whole social media thing, it's been crazy because actually I mean, I write when I can. I haven't, been able to keep a regular schedule of posting every day. I mean, it's been like 3 weeks since my last post, or 2 weeks maybe. Last one was about that multilingual nomination, and I haven't posted yet. So I'm really glad that things have worked out the way they have, because it's not something I'm doing like professionally. Oh, I am a social media influencer. I have to post at this schedule.
Yeah.
This is the time I will post. This is the topic I post. I have I've taken things slowly and all. And about the impact that has had in my career, well, I think it has been a good impact. Sometimes I get some messages from potential clients, and they are interesting clients that I'd like to work with. So yeah, it's been great, and that's actually something I have been speaking with other people on how the whole language industry, translation industry, has shifted to this social media thing, where if you have a good presence, and if you build a strong network on social media, things can happen faster for you. So yeah, I think I'm just diving deep into that right now, and trying to build my network from social media, and this has played a major role in my career so far. Definitely.
So talking about impact, you mentioned there, and I had read it somewhere, that you're now mentoring other people. Is it because you feel
Yes.
that there's not enough options in terms of training or information out there for people who are starting, or are you also mentoring people who have been in the business for a minute and want to have a little more knowledge, a deeper way of, connecting to this side of the job, or what kind of mentees do you have? Is it more beginners, or is it people who want to consolidate their presence in the game industry?
Sure. My mentees, they are one of two profiles, basically. The first one, they are, absolute beginners. They know they are aware of the industry, that the localization
They're probably
industry
gamers, I
exists,
suppose, at least.
Yeah. Definitely. And then they realize, oh, I can translate games. And I can relate with them so much, because that's exactly the kind of reaction I had when I learned that I could translate games. So yeah, I mean, the bigger part of my mentees are from that profile, and the other part they are experienced translators with like maybe 4 years, between 3 to 5 years of career, but they have been, stagnated for a while. They have been working like for the same agency since they started. They haven't improved on their rates. They are not aware of how the industry works, how to prospect clients. So basically, they have a solid knowledge of language, but they don't have a solid knowledge on the market. So that's how I usually help them to identify agencies that could work, that could, be aligned with their financial goals or their, career goals and all that. So I help those two. And I mean, how it happened for me? Well, basically, since I was writing, advice on LinkedIn and articles here and there, one reader came to me and asked, "Oh, do you provide mentorship?" And then I thought, "Oh, I can provide mentorship." It's funny how I'm usually taken by surprise with with the opportunities that come, because Game Translator was like that too. I was like, "Oh, I can translate," yeah. But then he asked me if I could provide mentorship, and then yeah, I can provide mentorship. So I built a program for him, a 5-session program, and I really enjoy doing that. And then I think he didn't have any experience. I mean, he had experience with translation, but not in games. It was one of such cases that he had been working with clients in, I think it's, in business or something like that, but not gaming. And then I helped him how to, identify his strengths in that field of specialty, and bring it to Game Translator, so that he could, convince agencies that he has what it takes to at least learn how to localize a game and all that. And then it worked for him. Like I think in maybe 1 month or 2 months after our program ended, he landed his first paid client.
Wow.
And then that's how I started helping people. I mean, I do not have, a lot of mentees. I've had a few after that, but yeah, it's been fun. But it's not like my one of my main career pillars. It's just something I do on occasion. Usually when people ask for my help directly, I don't usually advertise mentorship programs on LinkedIn or anything else. It's more like, I'm here. I have the knowledge, and if people think I can help them, then they will come to me, and they'll see if I can help if it's something that's within my reach. Yeah.
It totally makes sense. So Annabelle, with this 2 years or so experience, can you already pinpoint some sort of your, let's say, your dream project in terms of video game localization? Can you, like, a brand or a particular franchise, or anything you want? Just things that exist and you want it to be a part of.
It's kind of hard for me to pinpoint like a franchise. Maybe Crash Bandicoot. I love platformers. So maybe Sonic the Hedgehog, any Metroidvania that has a nice aesthetic to it. I'm not a big fan of AAA games. I know a lot of people have their dream of
And AAA games means
games that are that have a very big budget, that come from a very big and important studio. Let's say like Resident Evil, Call of Duty, all those kinds of games that have millions and millions of dollars poured into them. That is not my cup of tea. I personally love indie games, smaller games. For example, I've been working on this mobile game, the the match 3, the classic match 3 puzzle game. And I just love those games. The dialogues are so silly. The stories are just so over the top, unnecessarily so. That is the ones that I enjoy the most. For example, I just got sent one task to work on notifications, you know, the ones that you get on your phone, like, come
Yeah,
and play the game
of
before it's
course.
too late or whatever. I love those. I must be the only insane person who enjoys getting those tasks. Because to me it's
You're not
just like
alone, trust me.
they're so carefree. There's just so fun. You can be so creative and just have fun with it. And I don't know that I have a dream franchise, but just these small indie mobile games, they're my preference. I've always said so. I don't like the environment of AAA games because there's so much pressure, there's so much crunching, there's just things that at least I'm not compatible with. Even if I love the project, it would be stress overload for me.
Wow, I love it. So she knows what she wants. Let's hear it
Yeah.
from Phyllis if she has like a dream project or something like that. She's like, oh, all my dreams have come true.
Uh, well, I'll say a dream project would be an organized project. Like the files, wonderfully titled files that I know what they're about, like actual speaker tags that let me know if they're male or female. Like, please, whether like a bit of character background at least, so that you can tell me what tone you want their voice in. Like, organize your files, people. And no typos. Yes, yes, no typos. That would be wonderful. Oh, oh. And also get your plot straight, writers. Like
So
some of
you
them are like,
find flaws in the plot?
yeah, that's part of, because the games are in development, right? And they're like, the writer finished this part, translate it now, send it to the other language groups. Go, go, go. And then
I see.
like, yeah, and then 2.5 hours later, sorry, they want to rewrite this part. It's like, we already sent it off. And you're like, no, 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 redo this one. It's like, and it would go back. And because they did changes haphazardly here and there sometimes, then they work on another part of story, and there are two teams of writers or something. So team one didn't really communicate with team two. So there's supposed to be this underlying story in the whole game universe, but they don't match up. Or these writers are like, I have my own names for these things, and they're all supposed to write about the same thing, but they've got one set of names and they've got another set of names. And we're supposed to kind of like magically know all these names together mean the same thing when they have the story, but we don't, but we translate it. And then we're in charge of translating all of these into English and then send it to the other languages. And this confusion is just compounded in so many ways
All you want in
because the
life, it
writers
doesn't matter what it
themselves,
is. You just want an
yeah, just
organized
please
workflow.
organize it. Tell me the right terms, agree on it before you make us. Yeah, I was like, ah! But sometimes, with game developers, especially, they're like, update now, go, 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 event happening, 2 hours out. You have what? What? It's supposed to be when? No, we want it in half an hour. Wait, yesterday. Give me yesterday. All right.
Okay, now we know how it
Yeah, yeah,
works.
yeah.
Sounds very
Oh
unusual in the whole industry, but I don't know.
no, it's
So
yeah.
Sarah, your dreams are the dreams about the workflow, or are they about a specific game or a specific type of things, like games for children, games for grown-ups? What's the story?
I'm actually trying to specialize in narrative games because I really like that. I especially like
Just
playing
explain to me a
them.
little bit what narrative games are.
Just, games with lots and lots and lots and lots of texts. Basically, you just read the whole game. I mean, not only read, sometimes you also have other things to do. But yeah, those are like my favorite games because, you get to be creative and express your style in the translation, and I just love it. I've actually worked on one of the Ace Attorney games that it released like 2 months ago. It's a very famous franchise with attorneys, like the name says. And yeah, I would love to work on something like Disco Elysium, which is a very successful RPG and narrative game that everyone loves. You know, with
So what happens in those narrative
mysteries.
games? It's like you have to choose parts,
Yeah,
or
you have
what do you do?
you know, you have multiple choices depending on what you do and what you answer. It changes the rest of the story, and I just love that. Yeah, yeah, I would love to translate something
That
like
would
that.
probably work better for me than when you have to be skilled at, quick things or clicking, or even if my
Yeah,
favorite game in the whole universe is Tetris.
oh yeah, you have to be very skilled for that. Yeah,
I'm not good
I'm
at it. I
so
love
bad.
it.
I'm
It's
so
different.
bad at Tetris.
I absolutely love it. It's something that it almost goes against my nature. Maybe that's why I love it so much, but it's always been. It was also probably, except for Super Mario that came out in, I think, 1990, I believe. We had the Nintendo at home, but right after that, the second one that my father bought was actually Tetris, and I'm like, oh, this is it. So that's the one I actually played. Probably the only game that I ever really played in my life. So that's ridiculous. So me and the video game industry, it's just every now and then they use me for
You could always
things.
get back into it and find something that you like.
That's
And
true. But the good
yeah.
thing about Tetris is that there's no, or bad thing is that there's no conversation really.
Yeah,
So it's just
it's straight to the point. Just
exactly.
align the blocks and that's
Yeah,
it.
but
Yeah.
that thing you're describing sounds a bit fascinating to me. So yeah, who knows? So Diego, our mastermind, our video mastermind. So now that you've done a lot of things in these 10 years and you have been doing a lot of writing, because I remember last time we talked, you talked about your desire to be a writer, and that this new phase of your life gave you the opportunity of mashing up your two passions, video games and writing and all that stuff. So what would be your dream, not necessarily game, but activity? Where would you go from here if you had just free range, and like the genie came and said, just ask for whatever you want.
Yeah.
1, 2, or 3 desires, I don't know, whatever you want.
Oh, okay. Okay, I want 3 desires. I'm kidding. 3
Sounds fair.
wishes. Sorry. Well, since I've been writing more and more, maybe I still want to work as a writer in a video game, which was the whole point when I entered university. Like, so many years ago, I've lost track of it. But I mentioned in our in our last episode, that in our previous episode, that my reason for entering language and literature university, English language and literature university, was to write for narrative games, like Sarah mentioned. I love narrative games as well. They are my favorite game genre, and well, that was my reason for that. And I don't know, things have been happening. I've been, writing in English more and more, and maybe, just maybe someday, who knows, I might write for a video game too, if it's, an indie project with, but yeah, it's really basically just, a dream, right? Really, really far away from here, because the writing skills involved, they are really, really different from, writing articles, because when I write articles, I have to write in plain English, basically, just, I have to communicate ideas effectively, which is a lot different than writing for a narrative game. You have to write with style, you have, to convey so
It's
many
like writing a
things.
book, right?
Mhm.
Just
Exactly.
with
Exactly.
adaptations.
Exactly. So that's a whole different beast to say so. But yeah, maybe that's something that I might work on in the future, like 10 years maybe, if I move abroad. But right now I'm really just focusing on doing a great job on Kenshi 2, because it's a narrative game, like Sarah said, and the writing is just so good, and I really want to do it justice, and I have the means to do that, because I'm working on a per hour basis, which is not really common in our industry. So that enables me to really put some thoughts on what I'm doing, instead of just rushing projects, like Felix mentioned. So yeah, this is my focus at the moment. And I've also started studying a bit on localization management. I think that is really important for my career as a whole. I mean, I really want to diversify my services because the language industry is really so dynamic. So I think that the more skills I can learn, the better it will be for me in the future. If I have, multiple options, if something is not working as expected, I can do something else and then go back. I'm just trying to build on my existing skills and do a good job on Kenshi 2 and write a few articles here and there to keep the whole personal branding thing. So one thing I'd like
Yes, yes.
to mention something that Phyllis said about the how projects can be rushed in game localization. That really can happen. And one thing that's important to highlight is that the market in which Phyllis works is a bit different from the market in which me, Sarah, and Annabelle work, because basically we work with European developers or North American developers. Phyllis works with Asian developers, and they are, like in a different time zone and a different. It's really so different. And she does a really important job because when we work with those clients, we are working on the translation that people like Phyllis did for us. English is always used as a pivot
So she's the
language.
bridge, right?
She's the bridge. She bridges the east and the west. So to say,
I'm your Instagram filter.
And I think that's probably why her projects can be so rushed, because they want to translate to English as soon as possible. So
she's
that
in another part of the workflow, different printers.
So that can really happen.
That totally makes sense. I see how it goes. So thank you so much, you guys. This was amazing. There's more to come in my life, I suppose, in terms of episodes about video game localization, because it's such a thing. It's such an important thing right now. And I guess there's a lot of people who dream about it and have been dreaming about it for a long time. And now that the market seems to be a lot more open to those projects. And Diego is doing a great job, like making it more visible, putting it out there in writing and in showing up, and when people call him to talk about it. So that's really important. So thank you so much, you guys. This is amazing. I'm sure we will meet many other times. It was great to see you again, Diego. Great to meet you, Annabelle, Phyllis, and Sarah. So I'll say it like this. And I will be following your content and accounts and social media live from now on. So thank you so much, you guys.
Great. Thank you for
Thank you so much for
Thank you
having
so much
us.
for having us. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Nice.